Pakistan, 6 a.m. Friday, December 28th. After a day of chaos and rage, extraordinary even for a nation founded in chaos and rage, its government and ours shout terrorism. But did not a president who gained office by military coup have the most to gain from the death of Benazir Bhutto? Which of these stories will you be talking about tomorrow?
I don't believe that any true Muslim will make an attack on me because Islam forbids attacks on women.
70 days after Benazir Bhutto returned to Pakistan and made that statement, she has been assassinated at Rawalpindi, the murderer shooting her, then blowing himself up, killing at least 20 others. Pakistan's army and its nuclear weapons on red alert. Pakistan's parliamentary elections due in 12 days, now in doubt.
The United States strongly condemns this cowardly act by murderous extremists who are trying to undermine Pakistan's democracy.
But those who undermined Pakistan's, quote, democracy, extremists or loyalists to President Musharraf? The murders were terrorism. What kind? With Evan Coleman. What now of President Bush's $5 billion investment in that alleged democracy? With Richard Wolff. The immediate impact on Pakistan with former National Security Council member Hillary Mann Leverett. What happens next there and here with Senator Chris Dodd of the Foreign Relations Committee. And why the first place this all could be felt might be the Iowa caucuses with Dana Milbank.
We mourn her loss.
This reminds us of how we have to redouble our efforts in that area of the world.
I hate for anything like this to be the cause of any political gain for anybody.
All that and more now on Countdown. Good evening. This is Thursday, December 27th, 313 days until the 2008 presidential election, and this is a special edition of Countdown. 60 years after her nation was founded in bloodshed and chaos. 30 years after her father's government, the first true civilian administration of her country, ended in bloodshed and chaos. Benazir Bhutto, Pakistan's last popularly elected leader, and since her return from exile in October, leader of the opposition to General Pervez Musharraf, was assassinated in the city of Rawalpindi Thursday afternoon local time. Her death has thrown Pakistan, fragile and critical and armed with nuclear weapons, into even more chaos than usual. Her murderers could be anyone from Islamic extremists to Musharraf extremists. Her assassination could affect everything from the hunt for Osama bin Laden to the Iowa caucuses. Our fifth story on the Countdown will benefit tonight from the analysis of Richard Wolff, Dana Milbank, and from the Foreign Relations Committee, Senator Chris Dodd of Connecticut. First, what has happened in Pakistan? The 54-year-old former prime minister returned from exile and turned leader of the opposition, speaking at an afternoon campaign rally. When it was over, Ms. Bhutto walking off the stage to get into a bulletproof SUV, after which point all might still have been well, had she not emerged through the vehicle's sunroof to acknowledge cheering supporters one last time. It was at that moment that her attacker shot her in the neck and chest before blowing himself up. Mrs. Bhutto was also hit by shrapnel from that bomb. She never regained consciousness. She was rushed to hospital, taken into emergency surgery, and there she died about an hour after the attack. At least 20 others were also killed in the bombing, and 9 more dead in the rioting that broke out across the country in the aftermath of the news of the assassination. Pakistan's President Musharraf blaming Islamic extremists for her death. He mentioned al-Qaeda, even though it appears Ms. Bhutto herself feared General Musharraf would have her killed. A letter she wrote before her return from exile suggesting that if she was indeed assassinated, Musharraf should investigate his own security services. It was followed up with an email held for several months by CNN to be read only in the event that she were indeed assassinated. In it, she wrote, "I would hold Musharraf responsible. I have been made to feel insecure by his minions, and there is no way what is happening in terms of stopping me from taking private cars or using tinted windows or giving jammers or 4 police mobiles to cover all sides could happen without him." Here in the U.S., President Bush telling General Musharraf in a 10-minute phone call that he does not want Pakistan to cancel its January 8th elections, Musharraf having postponed the essence of democracy once already. Before the cameras, Mr. Bush condemning the attack on Bhutto specifically and any attack on democracy generally.
The United States strongly condemns this cowardly act by murderous extremists who are trying to undermine Pakistan's democracy. Those who committed this crime must be brought to justice. Mrs. Bhutto served her nation twice as Prime Minister, and she knew that her return to Pakistan earlier this year put her life at risk. Yet she refused to allow assassins to dictate the course of her country. We stand with the people of Pakistan in their struggle against the forces of terror and extremism. We urge them to honor Benazir Bhutto's memory by continuing with the democratic process for which she so bravely gave her life.
Mrs. Bhutto, educated at Radcliffe and at Harvard, having returned to Pakistan from an 8-year exile on October 18th, and on that very day, narrowly escaping another assassination attempt when her homecoming parade in Karachi was targeted. In an interview after that attempt, Mrs. Bhutto telling NBC News why she was willing to die for her country.
I can only say that I feel saving Pakistan by saving democracy is worth putting my life on the line. This is my country. I've seen what happened to Afghanistan when the Taliban took over. I saw what happened in Iran when there was a revolution. There were millions of refugees, homes were destroyed, dictatorship came, and it's decades since that happened. Both events happened in the 70s. I don't want people of Pakistan made into refugees. I don't want people of Pakistan to live in fear that some terrorist is going to come knocking on the door and kill them inside.
Benazir Bhutto's coffin carried from the hospital. The facility was then attacked by her furious supporters. Her body was taken to the airport at Islamabad, and the funeral will be tomorrow at Larkana at sundown local time, roughly 9 a.m. Eastern time.